So as you know, we've been exposing stretch Christianity and all the lies of Esau for quite some time. You know that everybody can be brought in. And that there's a such thing as spiritual Israel. Well, they're half correct about that. That this thing is spiritual. If you have the spirit of an Israelite dwelling in you. So what does that mean to be a spiritual Israelite? Because we're not all going to look alike. Some of us that are Confucian faces don't look like so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, but yet we have the spirit of an Israelite. So this thing is spiritual, But Esau wants you to believe that anyone can come into the fold. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's what they do for stretch Christianity, right? And then they try to say, oh, well, Israel was discontinued, so now everybody can come in to the fold, right? That's what they try to convince you of. Well, yes, we were discontinued from our heritage. I mean, there's no doubt about it, that we're scattered among the four quarters of the earth. We've been discontinued from our heritage, but now what Esau doesn't want to tell you, though, is that Ezekiel, especially chapter 37, talks about the Valley of Dry Bones, which is this place, Babylon the Great. And America, that our people would wake up as to who they were. Can these dry bones live? Which is what's happening now. We're spiritually becoming awakened. So that's where the idea of spiritual Israelites come in, because, but I got to tell you, 2/3 of our people still have the customs of an Edomite. We got Thanksgiving coming up, and we know that in reality that a lot of us are going to go with our families that have the customs of the Edomite, are going to celebrate this. Going to probably ask you the question, what are you thankful for? And going to pretend that this day means something different than what it actually meant. But it meant the lynchings and killings of our people, Well, what are you thankful for? I mean, that's a good question, right? Well, I'm thankful for this knowledge, the knowledge of these scriptures, so that way I know who my enemy is. Because, man, I didn't have clarity. I was trying to fit in with a society of Edomites that I didn't belong in, The Edomite was never going to be my friend, would always betray me, stab me in the back, do things that, and we got 2/3 of our people that are just as bad, like with IUIC, calling up other brothers' job at work, saying that they're rapists, child molesters, calling their works and harassing them. So, that's just as bad as what an Edomite will do, because Esau was never your friend, And this Thanksgiving, they want you to believe this painted picture that there was this agreement, that, this is when the natives had hung out and palled around with the pilgrims, right? That's the story that they want you to believe. But that's not what really happened. Esau would have these feast days every time to be grateful for the fact that they just conquered another village. They just burned down another village while the men were out hunting. As they conquered the village and killed them, they would often throw these feasts, And so really, and it wasn't just a killing. It was a slayer. They slayed our people. But the other flip side of that, yes, Gad would be overcome by the troop, but Gad would also overcome the Edomites, those that did that to him. So we're going to read now about this place, Babylon the Great. Hello and welcome to End Revelation Times, where the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai differs with everything we've been taught, such as stretch Christianity and all the other Edomite customs, because that's what we're trying to come out of, is all these Edomite customs. Because Esau, being the filthy disease that he is, and I can tell you why Esau is filthy and diseased, in that his germ warfare is how he's often killed many of us. He brought his germs over here because he's filthy and diseased. Well, they ate swine and every other abominable food. And you know that our people partook in that too. When Jerusalem was conquered in 70 AD, when the king of that time, under the Roman Empire, had taken away the daily sacrifice, and it, caused our people who were with it to eat abominable foods, abominations. And this is what the abomination of desolation is in the temple. So the temple was defiled, and these abominable foods. So Esau's filthy and diseased, and brought his filth and disease over here. And that's another way that he conquered our people, the tribe of Gad, and particularly with his germ warfare. Because we didn't have disease over here. We were clean because we knew not to eat any unclean thing, And so Esau brought his disease over here. Kind of like Esau's current warfare is AIDS. We can destroy them people sexually because, it's in our customs that, kings would have many wives. And so he thought that Esau definitely, and this has worked, obviously, that he could destroy us sexually, could create such a disease. We know it today as AIDS, and that's killing a lot of us Jakes, because, yes, we populate because we were kings, but our kingdom was taken away from it. We were discontinued from our heritage. So I'm going to talk about Babylon the Great, America, because this place is about to be destroyed. So Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 1. I'm bringing the good news. Good news for us, bad news for the Edomites. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. It's talking about the thermonuclear weapons, nuclear missiles. And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. And that's what's happening now. All these countries are pulling away from America, Babylon the Great. They want nothing to do with this whore. Against him that bendeth and let archer bend his bow, which is talking about these thermonuclear weapons, they shall launch nuclear weapons against this place, and against him that lifteth himself up in the Brigidine, and spare ye not all her young men, destroy her utterly, all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of Chaldeans. It's talking about America, Babylon the Great, and the wicked customs such as Thanksgiving. There's going to be a great Thanksgiving because this place, America, is about to be destroyed. For Israel hath not been forsaken, for Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. And that's what happened in 70 AD when Jerusalem was conquered, by the Romans, which we know were in the time of the second beast, the revised Roman Empire, which is in this place, Babylon the Great, America. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, which means flee out of the midst of America, means getting out of these customs and getting away from these Edomites, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. What is that recompense? To destroy her utterly with fire, to burn this place to a crisp, just like they did to our villages. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. And that's what's happening now. They want America out of Syria. They want America out of the Middle East. They want to get America out, which America is Babylon the Great. So all these places are starting to rise up. This was, in fact, the left-hand side of Yahweh, Babylon the Great. So that's what it means, was a golden cup in her hand. Meaning that, was a golden cup, meaning that this place, Babylon the Great, was the kingdom of the second beast. It was their fortress, but now Yahweh is now getting all the nations to come up against her, to destroy her. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go, everyone unto his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven, and is lifted up even unto the skies. And so why is that? Well, because here in Babylon the Great, America, it's the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah. This place is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, as Revelation chapter 11 tells us. That all these nations are going to destroy this place, because this is a place of wickedness, of unclean spirits, every foul bird. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh our God. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirits of the Medes, which is talking about the Persians. So you know that America, Babylon the Great, is about to declare war against Iran. And how did they do this most recently? Well, they caused the earthquake there because like they used hurricanes over here, weather warfare, because weather, germs, and chemical weapons. I mean, if anybody's using chemical weapons of mass destruction, it's America, Babylon the Great, because look at the goddamn chemtrails. They're fucking everywhere. So why isn't there a gathering of nations to come against this piece of shit, America, to destroy it? Well, it's coming, it's coming, it's in here, it's right here, you know. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, which is Iran, for his devices against Babylon, which is America, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Because remember what I said before about the temple being destroyed by the same people that made up the Roman Empire, the Edomites. Set the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch stand strong. Set up the watchmen, which is what we are now, watchmen. We're watching for these things, you know. We're seeing that all these nations gather up, getting ready to bend the bow to destroy this place, America. Prepare the ambushes, for the Lord hath both devised and done that which has spoke against the inhabitants of Babylon. You know, all these places that America has conquered. For now, America is going to be conquered finally. You know, so that's why we're to come out of it, you know. So yeah, you know, our families are still taking on the customs of the Edomite. So we're not to partake in those customs, meaning that we don't celebrate any of this, because Thanksgiving is just that. It wasn't just any type of killing. It was a slayer. It was a slaughter of our people. You know, they were destroyed by germ warfare. You know, they had purposely given us smallpox and other diseases because Esau is filthy and diseased. And the current smallpox that Esau's been doing is AIDS, you know, killing us sexually, spreading disease, you know, putting GMOs in our foods, poisoning our water, putting fluoride in our water, poisoning the air and the ground. Esau is this weapon of germ warfare because Esau is filthy and diseased. So now he has spread this disease worldwide. And so, you know, we got to know who our enemy is. You know, that this so-called white man has been the enemy from the beginning. How we do forget, you know, about these things, you know, that just because things seem like they're calm, but how is it calm? Esau's still doing shit all around the world. But, you know, people are blinded to this because Esau has many distractions. The television, the media, newspeak has blinded our people as to what's really going on. Because everything that Esau says is true is a lie. You know, gives us false narratives. You know, these shootings ain't even real. They're all fake to make you believe. You know, and people just take the news that, oh, that's what really happened because it was on the news. So that makes it credible. Esau was a liar from the beginning. Lies about everything, you know, such as Syria having chemical weapons. Well, who really has the fucking chemical weapons? The Edomites do. Fucking chemtrails everywhere. So we know who has the chemical weapons and who will use chemical weapons against their own people. It's America, Babylon the Great. It's the Edomites that would do this kind of shit. No other country does this shit but the Edomite countries. The EU, the NATO, America. It is UN, NATO that destroyed Libya, that's destroying Syria, that's been destroying Iraq, has conquered Iraq, and destroyed all them places, has used nuclear weapons against these places, against Yemen, against Ukraine, and against Syria, and of course against Iraq. That's how Fallujah was conquered. You know, these smaller neutron bombs, but they're still nuclear weapons nonetheless. And Esau's about to set off even bigger nuclear weapons because we know in the day he's going to use a bigger nuclear weapon, whether he does it to the Zionist entity, Israel, which is not the real Israelites, but are in fact the Khazars, which are really the Amalekites, going to use this nuclear weapon against Damascus and going to cause the city of praise to cease in that day, making it a ruinous heap. So we know that these events are about to trigger off, and we know that the big one is, of course, to make all the Israelites, because it doesn't matter if the Edomites take this chip, the mark of the beast, But it does matter if the Israelite does that, because that cuts them off whatsoever of receiving spiritual healing and being saved in that day, the day of the Lord, the day of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, when he sends his son to destroy this place, and the brightness of his coming, meaning that mothership that comes down on, you know, with the angels, which will also be coming on ships, destroying this place, along with the nuclear missiles. And then, of course, those that take the mark are going to get consumed by this fire, which is the wrath of the Lamb, you know, the cup of wrath of his indignation, which is thermonuclear weapons, a thermonuclear war. And 2/3 of our people are going to get destroyed with that, because 2/3 of our people already either have the mark, because, let's face it, it's part of the enrollment of the military. You got Jakes that are serving Satan in the military, you know, and Satan, his seed, the Edomite seed, pretty much, the so-called white man, fighting his fucking wars. So, you know, he's pretty much been chipped, because that's a part of it now, you know. And then, of course, all the actors and actresses, musicians and all that already have the chip. They've already been chipped, because it's part of the agreement. So they already have the mark of the beast, you know. And so you receive this mark, you shall also receive of that cup of wrath of indignation that was poured without mixture. And that's when this place is destroyed, in the day of the Lord. And that's coming real soon. So I hope this has been edifying, and by all means, you know, be not partakers in Babylon's sins, for her iniquities have reached unto heaven. Shalom.